What's going on? It's Cards TCG. Today we're going to be talking about why is Pokemon so popular in 2025, the dark side of Pokemon. And it is a very complex issue that we have here. That is not any one social media platform. It's not just Pokemon. It's not just scalpers. It's not just us. It's everything. Everything is. So let's take a look at definition of propaganda. Strategic dissemination of information, often biased or misleading, and not everything about the definition can be equated to this, but influence public opinion or behavior, social media, promote a particular agenda, social media, manipulating emotions, social media, or distorting facts, but I don't believe the facts. If they manipulate emotions, I want that. I want to be able to do that. I see you open it, I want to open it. I want a chance. I'm chasing. Even with social interactions, just the interactions that we're going to have in this video can influence your emotions. So if we look at the next set, emotional, right? Relies on emotional language, imagery to invoke strong feelings. Pokemon does that really well with the imagery of the card arts. YouTube does that really well, displaying I have this and you don't, whether it's intentional or not. Now, let's back up for a second. I am by no means accusing anybody of propaganda intentionally, but there's unintentional propaganda as well too, that's influencing your emotion to that, whether that is what the objective of what they're trying to do or I'm trying to do right now. It really doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. It's still going to occur. And social movement, and we can take a look at that from social media as well as scalpers, and what Pokemon's doing with their ability to print. They're influencing a social movement of scalping, selling, buying at MSRP and selling at market, where MSRP might be, look at the spread box for MSRP is what, $24.99, and people are 50, so 2x. Oftentimes you can 3, 4, all the way up to 10x on certain products. And the most annoying thing is the products that are modern, that literally are competing with vintage stuff, and we'll get into that in some of the card prices here in a minute. But we take a look at this from a perspective outside of the bubble of Pokemon. One thing I learned in my business law class is that the propaganda is so powerful, whether it's intentional or not, and people are tribalistic. They become just, I want to say, in some form or another, a ghost of themselves in this market, in this hobby. Like, your want and need is so high that you're willing to spend money on spend an exuberant amount of money on these products just to get it in your hands, right? Just to get it in your hands so you can open it. You're watching your favorite YouTube. So moving to slide 4, I just want to preface, I have no issues with any of these individuals on here. There are some favorites of mine. Deep Pocket Monster is definitely going to be one of my favorites. I think he does a really good job at metering his influence. He's also very giving back and things like that with his streams. Fantastic YouTuber. And just an all-around good dude, it seems like. I'd love to meet him in real life. Just because he seems like that's the type of person I want to associate with. Pokerev, not a bad dude. Does he influence the market? Absolutely. When millions of people are tuning in, seeing him opening up product that we can't get our hands on, also influencing the need and FOMO for the scalpers to sell at the prices that they do, he's inadvertently impacting the hobby negatively. Nothing he's intentionally doing is impacting the hobby negatively. He isn't intending to sell at over MSRP. His mystery packs I would say that's kind of iffy there. But again, that's your choice to spend that money. Lionheart, with everything going on, his whole drama with the straight up challenge, which I perfectly strategically pictured, but I'm not going to get into his whole drama, but there's some stuff there. If you think about his trade up challenge versus you or I doing that, it's going to be drastically different. They know who he is. they're going to take a loss on a trade for him simply for the advertisement that they would get by being in his video. Is that a realistic trade-up challenge? Absolutely not. If you and I went to go do that, it'd be astronomically harder to get to where he did, because we do not have that type of following. And that's not his fault necessarily. That is fans' fault. That is people's fault. People capitalizing on a situation that they are free to do, but it in turn has negative effects across the hobby. And then you got Nostalgianomics. Honestly, not my favorite. I just think, how do I say this without being like a D-bag? It's just not for me, right? I don't like his attitude, his approach on things, and I don't look at Pokemon as just an investment strategy. I just love the hobby. I started collecting in 1999, so, and got back into collecting a year ago or so, when things were fine, and now it's out of control and I can't find anything. So there's that. But I refuse to spend the type of money people are asking for just to open up packs and build my binder of stuff. So I've gone weeks, dry weeks of not being able to get stuff to make content. It sucks, but I am not going to feed into that machine my money. Now, we're seeing a little downturn for scalpers, especially with Journey Together. Not that big of a set. As the public, I do think it's a cool set and has some cool cards. I do think they missed the ball a little bit. I think Destined Rivals missed the ball a little bit, not calling it the Glory of Team Rocket in English. And I think Pokemon tried to do that to minimize the market demand, which didn't, because you still got Rockets Pokemon in there and things like that. So it's hard to explain. But no, not any one YouTuber or social media influencer is to blame here. Unless they're intentionally doing it, I would then blame them. But the people I've listed here are not manipulating the market. PokeNE, and there's other cool stuff. PokeNE is probably one of the realest dudes on here, alongside Deep Pocket Monster. And really just says it how it is, and I appreciate that. So I follow and watch his channel. I watch Pokemonster and I watch PokeRev a little bit. I steer clear of a lot of the big ones, and I kind of watch the smaller creators, just because they have an unbiased kind of opinion about things. So, and I find that to be refreshing, and it tends to not manipulate the market as heavily as these individuals that are just very big in the space. But once again, no specific hate to anybody. I'm just saying this is a component. This is a component to why our situation is the way it is. Now, if you look at modern card values, feeling scalping, I mean, you got here top 15 cards on TCG Player, and 4 of them are modern. You got Lattice and Latios from Sun and Moon, the Voltrub, which is a little bit of a outlier because it is a stamped specific Professor Program card that completely is not cool at all. It's just reverse holo. It just has that Professor, but it's very limited. So I can kind of see why that's up here. For $2,000, maybe. It just depends. I don't know the overall count of what's available, so therefore, you know, that kind of works or doesn't work for me to explain because I don't know. It's very much like stock, Bitcoin, things like that. Very as limited as it is going to dictate the price. That's just economics 101 from a stock market standpoint. We got Umbreon VMAX right here. Very hard to hit in Evolving Skies, but again, it not even the best artwork in the set. I think Rayquaza is a better artwork. A lot of the evolutions in there, better card artwork. I think the card overall, regardless of the Van Gogh type look, it's not. I don't think it's that great. I think Umbreon EX from Prismatic is a way cooler card, but this card just came out in this set recently, and it is $1,100. But it is still a cool card. But this card's up here competing with first edition base set Shadowless Charizard, competing with Skyridge Charizard, shining Gyarados, first edition Lugia, shining a bunch of Gold Star. How? I don't understand. These cards are vintage, very limited. There's still a lot of Evolving Skies out there that people are hoarding on and waiting for that price tag on those packs to be $100 or more, and then you're going to see it just dumped on the market. Even though Umbreon's very hard to get, and so is Latios, I mean, let's be honest, the Sun and Moon team-up is definitely out of print. And it's been long enough to where that inventory is starting to get pretty low, so therefore that dictates the price of the packs and also escalates the price of the cards and sets. Evolving Skies, I don't think there's very as limited as you could think for Sun and Moon, but to think Dragon Frontiers, there's not a lot of Dragon Frontiers. You know, Holland Phantoms, that actually makes a little sense. That's a very hard set to get. Neo Destiny, hard set to get. Team Rocket Returns, very hard set to get. So these are very limited in their availability for you to be able to try to even pull these cards. So therefore, I understand why the market is high on them. But for these newer sets, Modern, Scarlet Violet, especially Scarlet Violet and Sword and Shield, like, come on, man. That's insane. But these are why scalpers are capitalizing on our want and need to get some of the sets out here. Like, whether they're limited or not, there's value in those because people are only looking at it from a monetary standpoint, which is destroying the hobby. And the next set here is exclusive cards, and more specifically, the Pokemon Center stamp cards. Kind of nuts. And the Snorlax, which arguably isn't even that great of an artwork, $138. The Eevee is way cooler. The Koraidon, the Miraidon, the Team Rockets, Wobbuffet, Charmander, Pikachu, is way better cards in my opinion from an artwork standpoint. And then you have the staff pre-release cards, very limited there as well. So I could see where and why those are where they're at. Hop Snorlax, very playable, but you don't need to have the pre-release staff. It's just very limited. But you look at exclusive cards like Pokemon Center, it makes it next to impossible to get stuff on Pokemon Center because people want these. It'd be interesting to see when we get into this 10th generation and 30th anniversary, kind of what that looks like from Pokemon strategy of trying to make things more available to the fans and basically not just feed a sub-market of scalpers to make hundreds of thousands of dollars very easily on our FOMO. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the next year in Pokemon looks like. I might revisit this video in a year from now when the 30th comes out at the beginning of next year. What that looks like, forecasting for what that next generation is going to be like. Hopefully it's going to level out, because when I started recollecting last year, I could find packs everywhere. It wasn't until Surging Sparks, and not even right at Surging Sparks pre-orders, it was much closer to December that things just got out of control, and it was nuts. And it's so hard to get stuff and product to do anything. And so products, specifically the Pokemon Center, we got the Prismatic Trainer Box from Pokemon Center being $268 for 3 extra packs, or right, 9, 10, 11, 2 extra packs, and the promo for an additional $167, kind of out of control. Surging Sparks Elite Trainer Box, $172. It's come down quite a bit. All the cards in that are coming down, but then just a regular Elite Trainer Box still holding at $114, somehow more expensive than Prismatic, which arguably Prismatic does, if you can get it, have, cooler art set in my opinion. But I think there's only a couple cards in Surging Sparks that have like outstanding artworks. The Pikachu, the Surlage. I mean, that's pretty much it from an SIR standpoint. And then the booster box being way over, $100 or more over what MSRP should be. Kind of insane. $24.99 on the surprise box, getting them for $50, but then you have the 6-pack right here for $400 for the case. The Super Premium Collection for Prismatic, which I got one on launch day. I made a video of it. It's really cool. But again, I wouldn't pay over MSRP or even, I'd pay a little bit over MSRP for it because I'm a promo collector, and I definitely like the Fruit Eevee and add some more to my binder of promos that I like. But if we take a look at all this is the dark side of Pokemon. The dark side of Pokemon is everybody. Us as a consumer, it's Pokemon and the print demand, it's YouTube and their influence on social media specifically, and their influence on our FOMO, and it's scalpers taking advantage of that. So there isn't any one component of what's wrong with Scarlet and Violet. We can blame scalpers, but at the end of the day, Pokemon isn't printing enough to saturate the market. YouTubers are opening up the stuff we can't get, creating FOMO. It's all propaganda. Propaganda is often seen as an intentional tool, but it's really not. It can be unintentional. You're watching propaganda occur right now, which is destroying the hobby and the market for us to be able to little content and just have some fun opening packs with my kids, or just, you know, reliving nostalgia, collecting cards and putting them in my binders that I collect, and forget duplicates and things like that. Sure, I sell on TCG. I'm not gonna overshadow that, but I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm not manipulating the market. I tend to probably manipulate it in the positive way, because I put stuff, these like, you know, Misty Starduck Iduck I pulled the other day, I sold it for under market. So trying to do my part a little bit at a time to decrease the market by selling stuff below market. That's why I got 100% feedback on TCG Player, because I'm not a sack of shit. I'll just put it straightforward. And I'm not in it to get rich. I am in it to enjoy hobby and enjoy that with people, with my family and friends that also connect. That is my objective. And that could be any YouTube objective, but the bigger you get, I feel like you have to preface certain things to minimize people's FOMO and go out and support scalpers. Like, come on. Like, you just gotta be on it, and that kind of sucks, because that adds a component of work, so to speak, to creating content. So it's kind of strange, the market that we're in right now. I'm very positive for what that market might look like in a year, but for now, we'll take it as it goes. Stay frosty, and as always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.